What's going on, everybody, and welcome to episode 71 of the Playconomics podcast, breaking down the business behind the world of video games, providing you with that sweet, supple, moist, golden brown financial context here on this Monday after Thanksgiving as we nurse our hangovers and check our cholesterol. We're here. We're here, Matt. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was lovely. We ate a lot of turkey. And all other Thanksgiving things. But
that was it? That's all you got? That's all you did? You ate turkey?
I mean, I ate a lot of Thanksgiving food. It was delicious. We went to Sarah's parents. It was a very standard Thanksgiving, which I'm not mad about.
You're not excited about. You're not excited about either.
No, I'm as excited as I am about any Thanksgiving. Like, Thanksgiving is top 3 holidays. And it met expectations.
What are the other two?
Easter, number 1. And then 4th of July.
Stop it.
I swear to God.
Easter is your number 1 holiday?
Easter, number 1. 4th of July and Thanksgiving, interchangeable at 2 and 3.
I have to pull on this thread. I'd rather pull on the thread. There's so many threads here. Number 1, your Microsoft Teams or whatever that notification was. Number 2, why Easter is your favorite holiday. And number 3, that Naruto mug. You're a grown man. Why is Easter your favorite holiday?
Victory in the morning. Easter is my favorite holiday because it's the most family-oriented holiday that's not focused around gifts or food.
But you give Easter baskets.
Yeah, but no one does that anymore after you're 5.
I suppose. The entire audience just heard whatever that is. So the bat phone is calling Matt. We're gonna edit that out to be a ridiculous noise in post.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it its regular noise.
I digress.
Yeah,
I digress.
But 4th of July and Thanksgiving are cool at 2 and 3. No issue with those.
4th of July is the top 3 holiday. It's the greatest holiday ever in the greatest country on the face of the planet. So I would put 4th of July next to Christmas before Thanksgiving.
Christmas is too commercial. I'm done with the gift thinging.
Okay, as we move in.
Yeah.
Many topics. Matt, why don't you read mini topic number 1? Let's get into the news here. What happened on? Thank God for this week. Thank God,
because it was low. There was no video game news. Video game news at all. However, God of War Ragnarok sold 5 million units since release. Sony Santa Monica sequel is now the fastest selling first-party PlayStation launch title ever. And I bet you think that's impressive, but we'll get to something later on in this episode that is even more impressive than that. But in this article by Jeffrey Russo, he goes to sing the praises of God of War, which rightfully so. I'm glad this game is doing very well. I'm glad it's doing absolute numbers. And I'm glad that it is a first-party game that's doing numbers. Because contrary to popular belief, I love first-party games.
If only you had some on Xbox that were doing well.
Listen, if the UK would stop being a little bitch about it, I would. We'll
get there.
But what do you think about 5 million fastest selling first party title of all time for Sony?
I think it makes sense. I think because Kratos is that bridge between person and super person. What I mean is, it makes sense that Spider-Man is your best-selling, console game ever, exclusive. Yeah. Even if not the fastest over time, it's the best-selling because it's Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah.
Right? Kratos, he's a dude, but he's also a cartoon character. He's a 7-foot-tall man with a magic axe who just happens to have emotionally resonant storytelling to be done, right? Like he's not a Joel or a Nathan Drake. Would put Nathan Drake right after Kratos on the superhero to man equilibrium. It's great. I finished God of War. We'll talk about that in what we're playing. Softening on my thoughts on it as a game, and the more I play it, the more I'm like, yeah, this is an 85, 90, but I'm struggling to find the 10 here. Overall, struggling to find the 10.
So you think 2018 was better?
Yes. It was tighter, and we'll get to it. But yeah, I'm glad. I think this is going to do numbers moving forward. 5.1 million in its first week. I'm curious to see how many of those were purchased on PS4 and how much were purchased on PS5. Because if 4 million were purchased on PS5, the PS5 argument is, I can't find a PS5 argument, is dead. Because 4 million people found them, bought them, and are playing this game. And will get this game for Christmas in the PlayStation 5 bundle.
Yes.
Yeah, I got on it.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the PS5, like, there's none available. I think by 2023, that argument kind of dies. Like, it'll be an argument that was said, like, oh, in 2022, it could have had a better year. In 2021, it could have had a better year. But these were the supply chain constraints, blah, 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 blah. 2023, it recovered and took its place as the dominant console as it should have in 2021 and 2022.
Especially if they move forward with all PlayStation 5s being disk drive optional.
Yep.
And they just put out that one SKU that's easier and cheaper to make and get it to market faster. Yep. 100%.
Yeah. Why don't you head off this next topic? Because I feel like you have a lot more to say about this than I do.
Yeah, interesting. So article here from Gamatsu, but it was being reported all over. I just didn't want to hear that I have a bias towards gamesindustry.biz. And
you have only one. You only have one article in here. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. PlayStation China Hero Project Phase 3 to include more than 10 titles. This is coming from Sal Romano at Gamatsu. Reading from the article now, SIE will expand its China Hero Project games incubation program with the launch of its third phase. The company announced at an event in Chengdu on Tuesday. Phase 1 and 2 have supported a total of 17 games, 7 of which have launched. Animal Force, Anno Mutation, Forged in Shadow Torch, Hardcore Mecha, Immortal Legacy, and Nightmare the Walker. But Phase 3 aims to include 10 more titles. It's just that games are going to be incubated under Sony in China. So Sony is funding games and game devs in China. But the real nugget here is that SIE Entertainment Shanghai president Tatsuo Yaguchi, I think I got that, said the success of Genshin Impact, a title developed by MiHoYo, which the company supported, has convinced management that Chinese games are important, adding that it's allocating more resources than ever to China. I mean, look, when you're the only relevant console, right? Like Genshin Impact's on Switch, right?
It might be. I thought it was a mobile game.
It's everywhere except Xbox. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Oh, I had no idea it was on Sony.
It's everywhere except Xbox. So Sony sees that and is like, oh, we make $4 billion a year from Genshin Impact, and that is just passively having it go through our storefront. Yeah, we can afford to develop some more of these.
Yeah.
Huh?
And
cool.
It's also not on the Switch from what I'm seeing on the internet right now. It is on everything but the Switch and Xbox. I'm seeing GeForce Now, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Android, iOS, Microsoft Windows, iPad OS.
Oh yeah, it's release date. It's coming to Switch. Is
Gotcha.
It coming 2022? Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, funding games like this. There was also that other game, that Souls-like game where you're like the Monkey Man kind of guy, like the Black Myth Wukong one.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, look, I've said this for a long time, that games are slowly but surely catching up to where movies are in terms of their business plan progression. So it's like, hey, we saw that there was a lot of money to be made in the Chinese market. Marvel, NBA, Disney, Star Wars. Let's get over there. And now games are like, oh, Genshin Impact. How many garbage trucks full of money?
How many impacts did they make?
How many impacts did they make? Cool, neat. Look, I don't want to sound like... I don't want to sound nonchalant, but I feel like I beat this drum every week, so I'm just trying to give what's important here and not give too much personality color to it. Mm-hmm. Man, the more you get in bed there, the more opportunity for censorship there is. Next topic.
Wait. Do you know what I found very interesting about the timing of this article?
What?
This is coming right off the back of the Xbox article we did last week, how they cut ties with, I forget, NetEase. And now they have no more contracts in China. Completely done. Xbox, out of the Chinese market. All I'm saying is buy an Xbox. That's all I'm saying.
No. Although you're listening to this on Cyber Monday, Target had a sub $200. No, at Target was lower. I think it was like $199 for
the Series S.
For the Series S,
there's no reason not to buy it at $199.
Listen.
It's such a good product for less than a Switch.
I would consider buying a $200 Xbox if you would have bought that PS5.
No, because it was $800 at the time.
The economics worked out.
No, it didn't. I would have regretted buying something for $800 because I didn't like God of War. So what the hell am I going to play on a PlayStation?
Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon 1 and 2, every
guess.
Uncharted game. Hold on, because it keeps going. Gran Turismo, Bloodborne, Ratchet and Clank.
Are you done?
Yes.
I've played Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank is fine. It's no better than Super Mario. It's what I'm saying. Like, if I'm going to play a game like that, I'll play Mario. Let's be honest, I have a Switch. But no, the main point I wanted to get across in this article is that the timing for PlayStation doubling down in China, releasing these 10 titles for the China Hero Project, comes very eerily close to Xbox saying, nope, we out, and the NetEase deal getting pulled. But as we transition to our third topic,
I need you to just read the title.
I know. You'll see in the playback, you'll see me reading this while you're talking about something completely different, and I just start laughing earlier in this episode, completely unrelated to what you were saying, and it was the title for this section of our show in Bobby's notes is Bartender, a Clorox Martini with a Tide Pod garnish, please.
Oh, yeah, that's how I feel. That's what I would love for right now. Matt,
take
it away, pal.
In this article, Forbes.com, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's 10 million copies in 3 days breaks every Nintendo record ever. And in this article by Paul Tassi, we see some staggering claims that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is now the fastest selling Pokemon game ever. Matt was right. The fastest selling Switch game ever. Matt was right. The fastest selling Nintendo game ever. Matt was right. And then the fastest selling console exclusive ever across Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo ever. Matt was right. And Bobby, I would like you on this very special edition of Playconomics to play the music.
I wish you had told me. I would have had it queued up already.
The amount of I told you so in this article. And I understand. I'm going to give my full review of Pokemon in the what we've been playing, because not only did I buy it day one, I beat it 4 days later because it was phenomenal. However, despite all of the graphics and all of the issues with Pokemon, it doesn't take away from the fact that it's a Pokemon game, B, open world, and whatever comes after B, non-linear. It was, in essence, everything we've been asking for from Pokemon, except for the fact that it looks like it runs on an N64. On a good day.
That's the clip right there. It's everything we wanted, except the fact that it's terrible.
That it runs on maybe an N64. But these are absolutely astronomical numbers. And considering earlier in the week, we were talking about how Nintendo was issuing refunds based on the way that this game performed and like it was actually being played. And then for them to be like, yeah, we like gave some people their money back, but we took a lot of people's money.
Well, again, just to give context here, it's the fastest selling console exclusive, right? So that's first party game because, you know, Modern Warfare had an $800 million weekend.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So this is still
saying
third
that. Yeah.
place overall. GTA 5's a $1 billion opening weekend. It's still the top tier, right?
Yes.
But we're just saying games that only launch on one console.
Yeah. So
This
the
is
Gods
bigger
of War,
than
The Last of Us, the
Halo,
miscellaneous Xbox game,
Halo, yeah,
Pentiment,
Halo, whatever.
the upper echelon of video games. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, it was like, nah, hold my beer.
So here's my question to you.
Yeah.
Because you made 3 points. You said it's a Pokemon game, it's open world, and what was the third point you made?
Non-linear.
It's non-linear. What is the percentage breakdown of those 3 selling points to why people bought this game?
I would say 85% it's Pokemon.
Yep. Okay. I just needed to make sure that we were on the same page there.
I would say 5%, whatever the second thing I said was, and then 10% the non-linear thing.
Yep.
Oh,
okay.
no, switch that. 10% open world, 5% non-linear. Because I didn't, until I played it, I did not know that it was non-linear.
It's... my curiosity with Pokemon as a brand
Yep.
is the genius of it is the genius of the simplicity where for you and I, we've seen this story before.
Yep.
You're a kid in a town with a mission and a team and a legendary and 3 starters, 8 gyms, Victory Road. Cool. We've seen that. We've played that. We've played every iteration of that. Z moves, X moves, Y moves, all that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a kid, is this still... I'm trying to think of how to quantify this. Do kids today get the... I mean, it's clearly the answer is yes. Do kids today get the magic, whimsy, wonder of that world, those characters, this IP, with each new sort of generation that comes up? Meaning. Does a kid today playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have the same whimsy and wonder as I did playing Pokemon Silver? And is that, like, clearly that's the only, like, that's the secret sauce. It has to be, because then you're a fan, for better or worse, for life.
I would say right now, if you started with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, you would not be upset at all.
Because you'd have nothing to compare it to.
No, but I'm saying if you start, like, I don't feel bad for you if you started with Scarlet and Violet. I feel bad for you if you started with X. Even though it was the highest rated Metacritic game ever. Like, I played that game, it's not as fun. And I feel bad, like, specifically X and Y, I did not like. And specifically, whatever Gen 7 one, Sun and Moon, I did like. It was fine. Black and White I didn't really like, but apparently they're the new generation of this was the greatest game of all time.
This how everyone that Black and White's so great. Was it? You all slept on Black and White. You all slept on. We were there.
Ruby
is the greatest game ever.
I do think that it does capture the wonder every single time, because I think there's just something unique about being a like 8 to 10-year-old and exploring a Pokemon world. That it's every kid's dream.
I think it's younger. I mean, you know, we got a kid on the way, so it's like, okay, like you have to at least be able to read, and that I think has always been a bar of entry for Pokemon.
Yeah, but I feel like that's for most video games. You need some.
No. Because Mario, you can play Mario as long as you have the motor skills and thought ability to understand.
I guess you could also
platform person, right?
Yeah, they have voice
Pokemon
acting.
has always been very text-based.
Yeah, that's fair.
So what is it, like kindergarten? For like when you went to like first grade, second grade?
I played my first Pokemon game in kindergarten when I was 5. But that was only because my brother was
older.
8. So he got red and blue, and he got blue, I got red because he picked blue, and he could like physically play it. I was like, yo, how do I save?
I got silver, green Game Boy, first grade.
Yeah.
And I was, picking out like the clear words and everything else. I was like, don't know. Yeah. Cool sprite, next.
Yeah, so I think, and to be honest, I guarantee you could play. Like, if you have played a Pokemon game before, you could probably play Pokemon without knowing how to read. Because it's pretty formulaic. I mean, the way that we can test this is I could just...
If you've played one before, but if you're new, again, this is my question to this is, the alt Pokemon pipeline is they get you when you're young with magic and whimsy, and then over time you continue to pay them money for a continually deteriorating product.
Yeah, I would say it's like frame rate. This is egregious, and I'll get to it in my review for the review of it playing it, because it is on one of my negatives.
Well, let's jump into it, because do you have anything else you want to add to the sales other than it's absolutely fucking bonkers?
It is absolutely fucking bonkers, but I did want to just touch on, I do think 8 to 10 is their target demographic because the game is focused around a 10-year-old. Like, they explicitly say it in almost every game that you are 10. And Ash is perpetually 10.
Ash is in the show, but I feel like you're just like nondescript child in all the other games. Like
in this one, it literally tells you that you're 11.
Really?
Yeah, like it tells you that you are in fact 11. Because on your 11th, and then in the other, like in the anime, they tell you on your 10th birthday you get a Pokemon. So you're assuming that every time you play Pokemon, it's your 10th birthday and you're getting your Pokemon for the first time.
So here's my next question.
Hit me.
On the Pokemon tree, what is the entry point for most kids? Is it the games? Is it the cards? Is it the show? Because I would say those are the 3 spears, right? Like toys, like plushies and stuff or whatever.
I would say, I don't know. I don't think it's the cards.
I agree. I think the cards is third. I'm trying to decide whether it's the games or the show.
Yeah, I think it depends on the kid. I think you would find those pretty split, where it's like 30-30. Oh, no. It would be like 45-45 TV show, game, 10% cards. Because like there is somebody that like got into Pokemon because of the cards, just because they saw somebody else playing with the cards. Like that has to be a population. But I'm saying around 45% show, around 45% games. I'd probably lean more towards games.
Yeah, me too.
Just because I don't even know where Pokemon airs.
Yeah, you're so funny. I was just about to say that.
So I don't know. I think it was on Cartoon Network, but I'm pretty sure that got canceled and bought by something recently.
No, that was just a rumor.
Oh, okay. However, let's go into the review. First, like while we're talking about Pokemon, let's go into my full review of this game. And what's the timestamp? Because I'm going to spoil literally everything.
23. There's nothing to spoil.
No. I'm telling you, the reason why I like this game so much is because there is stuff to spoil.
Mario is in the game.
No, it was I was playing it like 3 nights ago. I was finishing the game. And I was like, this is the greatest Pokemon experience I've ever had in my entire life. It was fantastic. So this will 100% be a spoiler. Skip ahead like 10 minutes or so. We'll put it back. We'll put something on the screen. However, let me look at my notes. Jesus, absolute Christ. The full open world Pokemon game. And the fact that you can access the entire world at any time. As soon as you do the little entry area, which is the greatest tutorial Pokemon's ever had. You get to the school. you learn about that you're going to go on this gym challenge, you're going to go on the Path of Titans, and you're going to go and beat the evil team. From there on, I could walk to the 8th badge and go battle it with level like 12 Pokemon.
Question.
Yeah.
Is it like Legends where it's zone-based, or
Nope.
it's really... No.
Straight open world. No, they have like mechanics where like you can't use rock climb or you can't use fly or surf. So there's some things you can't go to. But there is nothing stopping you from the beginning of the game walking from your school all the way to the 8th badge with a level 10 starter and challenging the 8th badge and getting your ass kicked. Next question.
Hi, Bobby Kawecki, Playconomics podcast.
Yep.
Thanks so much for taking the question. Are the gyms, do they scale, or is there like a clear recommended order to attack them in?
There is a clear recommended order. I have talked to 4 people. No one has attacked the same gym.
The same ways.
So I still don't know what the order of 4, 5, 6, 7 are. I don't know what the order is, even after beating the game.
Gotcha.
I do know what the first gym is and the second gym is, just because I didn't want to waste my time walking somewhere just to get my ass handed me to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get to the story and how it progresses, the non-linear path, absolute god tier. It is the greatest thing any Pokemon game has ever done, and any Pokemon game that does not have the progression path that this one does, I will refuse to play. It's not worth it. This was the correct way to do it. Because of that, the gameplay and the way that you experience the world and the way that you interact with the world is the best it's ever been, and it physically makes the game difficult. Like, it increases the difficulty by not letting you go somewhere specific. The story is by far the best I have ever seen in any Pokemon game. And it's so good. You basically get a team of 4 people that you like grow up and go through the academy with, and they're your like rivals throughout each path that you can go on.
Okay, not evolution, not novel. You always have them, but okay, yeah, cool.
But their stories are so good that I restarted the game so I could pick a different starter and like do the whole game again with a different team. I was like insulted when these people were rude to me in the beginning of the game because of all the shit I had just done with them. Like, I was literally playing it and one of the characters was like, I'm not talking to the 2 of you. Like, you're irrelevant. And I was like pissed off because I was like, I just went through so much shit with you specifically that it's hurt, like I'm hurt by that.
And I'm sorry, one more. Did you pick the future game or the past game?
Past game, which doesn't really matter because all of that's locked to the end game, which is a con in my opinion, and I'll get to that in a second. But I want to briefly discuss how the story goes out. So 1, the Path of Legends. That's you going through the Pokemon League. First of all, your rival for the 8 gym badges is already the champion. And she gets a new set because she's so excited to have a rival that she restarts her Pokemon journey and meets you at certain checkpoints. So basically when you go to...
Okay.
But as you go to every other gym, you battle her first. And she's like, let me see if you can fight this gym. And she'll either kick your ass or you'll lose and then be able to go to the gym. You fight with her, and the next thing she does is she's like so excited to have our next battle, can't wait to fight you at full power kind of thing. And then you fight her at the end of the league. The Pokemon League, you have completely no idea what their teams are. You have no idea what levels they're at. Obviously they're higher than the 8th badge, but you have no idea what they are. And you know how in the previous ones where you would walk into their room and you would kind of get the theme so you could switch your team? You have no idea. You're in a completely white room that they walk into. You're already there.
Was there still like a little stupid challenge ahead of time? Like flip the switches, slide on the ice?
Yeah, they're way less. Some of them are really, really good and they're cool. And there are things that you have to do out in the town. And then some of them are really stupid. And like, actively I just Googled and was like, what is the answer to this quiz? So
85.
But they get they give you a full path, 1 through 8 gyms in any order you would like. They give you the Elite Four, and then they give you after the champion, you beat the champion, then you fight your rival again. Similar to Pokemon, but they give you that capstone of an arc. Then there's the Path of Titans, where you go and fight the super large Pokemon. And during this journey,
this is the crystal Pokemon?
Yeah. So they're giant Pokemon, and they're protecting these like special herbs that are used to like have mystical properties and like heal Pokemon and things like that. You find out that one of your other rivals is trying to cure his dog who is dying. So he has a Massibiff, or whatever the dog's name is in the game. And the dog's dying, and he's trying to revive it and bring it back to life. Or not bring it back to life, but like save it. And it's extremely emotional because his mom is the professor. She abandoned him. And because of that, all he's ever had was this dog, and it's dying. And you go through and you eventually save the dog. You battle him. Dog's hecka strong.
Kill the dog.
The dog's hecka strong. And then you complete that. Then you do the Operation Starfall, which is the evil team. Less cool story-wise. It's just a bunch of kids got bullied at the academy, and then they made their own like sect of the academy and started bullying other kids.
Good.
Which is hilarious.
Good. So we went from Team Rocket conquering the world,
yes,
to high school, middle school bullies. Good.
But
good.
In the grand scheme of the, like, you're a 10-year-old. This is a problem you should be dealing with. Like, a 10-year-old defeating Team Rocket is incorrect because one of them would have just put the beat down on you in real life. These, you're at least fighting other 10-year-olds where they can't just, like, all right, fisticuffs. Like, I'm going to kick your ass. So, that one is the weakest story-wise, but it is by far the most difficult. The team leaders of each of that thing are very, very difficult, and they're scaled very high. Like, they're higher than for where you are in the game and in that region, they're a much higher level than the gym leaders are. And at the end of it, the team that you have just, you get a champion battle from there, where you fight the overall leader of the evil team, and then you fight the dude with the dog at the end of that team. So it's a capstone battle at the end of it, even though they are not battle-related mechanics or battle-related story progression. You then join forces with all 3 of those and go to where the prehistoric places are to go find Arvin's mom, who's the professor, because she has a special task for you. You get in there. You go in and you find the professor slumped over, dead. In the other side of the time machine, because you like go back to the past. You summon like the whole past present thing is the like there is a time machine pulling Pokemon by accident into your world. So
from the past or the future,
depending on the game. You get there, professor's dead. And you just hear, like, you don't hear it because there's no voice acting, fucking Pokemon. It just texts across your screen, AI reboot. And it turns out the professor that's been talking to you through FaceTime this whole time and interacting with her son is actually an AI robot. And you find out that, like, 15 years ago, the professor exploded when the legendary killed her. Completely wild, dead. And at the end of it, you have to fight the AI robot in a Pokemon battle. And she uses all prehistoric Pokemon. They're absolutely busted. And she's literally fighting you from the top of this, like, diamond tower and dropping Master Balls. Like, it's just, like, it's dropping from the time machine. She gets a Master Ball, and she, like, just, like, throws it at you because you're, like, a story below her. And she's basically
Master
like,
Ball has a cool Pokemon.
Yes.
So question.
Yeah.
So here's where I have questions. Because I looked through this whole decks. Weak decks. Until you get until the end. I'm sure you'll get to that.
Yep.
Weak as hell.
Yes.
Is this... except for one. And do you know the one I'm going to pick? The only cool as fuck design.
Is it Baxcalibur?
Is that the ice
Dragon.
Godzilla? No.
Yeah.
Been there, seen it. He kind of it looks like a reskin of that building the building Pokemon. Which one was the one from the last game? It basically turned into a building. It looked like Godzilla, but it was a building.
Duraludon?
Same energy, same vibe.
Maybe.
No.
Okay.
No. There's
What?
only one cool one.
What is it?
It says it's called Roaring Moon, and it's just like
it's
a
Salamence.
Salamence on steroids.
Yeah.
I'm here. Here's the one thing where it's like,
So that's the professor's final Pokemon.
Neat. That's pretty neat. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That's the professor's final Pokemon. The only other thing that I would say is really cool is that you bond with your legendary
from the jump.
From the jump. And then you find out that it's just the prehistoric version or the future version of Cyclizar, which is just a Pokemon that everyone uses as bicycles now. And at the end of the game, you fight an evil one of it. And it's a 1v1. Like, after you fight the AI professor, she has the cool prehistoric team. And then the one that killed the Koraidon that killed Arven's mom drops down, and you fight in a thematic scripted Pokemon battle where there's no way you can lose, and it has a boss health bar like the Titans did, and they set you up to beat it. But it's really, really cool because it leaves you at 1 HP.
Of course.
And then you hit it. It's very scripted, but it's very, very, very cool. And the aesthetic of the final sequence was it was a very hard battle. My Pokemon were appropriately leveled, and it took me like 3 tries. And 2, the whole room and vibe is I'm not doing it justice. It is phenomenal. Now for the bad part.
Well,
now
hold
for
on.
the bad part.
Because it's Salamence.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Pretty neat.
Yep, it's the only prehistoric Pokemon I haven't caught yet.
It's given me vibes of what that redesigned Braviary should have been.
Mm-hmm. Braviary's just in the world, flapping at 1 frame per second.
Instead of that terrible version that we got in Legends.
Yep. Yes, the new Salamence is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. Pretty dope.
And it's the end boss's ace Pokemon.
Yeah.
And it has the item that boosts its stats. So it's ridiculous.
I mean, look at this thing. Of course it is. Of course it is.
The first time I fought it, it swept my team. Because it was just too fast, too strong, knocked everybody out.
Fan-fucking-tastic. Yeah, man, let's hear some honesty from you here now, bud.
There are times where this game, it is a beta version of a game.
There's
the way that it plays. It literally plays like an N64 game, and it's constantly apparent. It's not like under these circumstances it runs at 12 frames per second. If anything is more than 10 feet of you, it is either popping in or is moving hilariously bad. It's not even worse. Literally worse than that sometimes.
Oh.
It's excuse me, comically bad. It's so painful. And then there's other times where you're really focused in on something, and there's only one thing you're interacting with. It's me, I have to go up to the legendary and press A to battle it, and I walked up to it and it disappeared. And I was like, was this an illusion? Is this some... So I walked away and came back and it was back. And I was like, oh. And then walked up to it, pressed A, and then fought it. In the beginning of the game, I soft-locked myself. There's a pool of water, and upon replaying, it seems like they took the island off the game, out of the game.
They patched it? They patched it out?
So
oh, God.
in the game, if you angle your camera correctly and you lock in, you could lock onto a Pokemon so you could throw your Pokeball at it. If you do that on water, obviously in the beginning of the game, you're not supposed to be able to cross water. It's about midway through you get the ability to do that. In the very beginning of the game, they teach you that you can't do that by putting an island in the middle of a pool of water that's just out of reach, but it has an item on it. So you want to get it. So you go through the water and you find out that you can't. It takes you back to the land, blah, blah, blah. So what I did was I was throwing Pokeballs at the Pokemon in the water because I wanted one of them. It was Paldean Wooper, Poison Ground, still on my team to this day. I throw the fucking Pokeball at it, and because it's too close to the other piece of land, it glitches, and now I'm in the middle. And there's no way for me to get out because I either have to do this again, and it was before I watched the video on how to do this, and after you watch that video, from literally you receiving your your level 5 Pokemon, you can get to the Elite Four by just glitching through a wall every time.
Question, who is your starter?
I picked Fuecoco.
Cool, so you got this neat alligator, not this immediately wasted duck design.
Yes, the duck design was awful. However, it's very good Pokemon.
This is the worst group of starters since the Hawaii, where you had the seal.
I like the seal.
Okay, next.
And the cat is growing on me. The cat is growing on me.
Sure he is. I'm sure he is.
But, so, I'm on this island and can't get back. And I'm like, what do I do now? Like, you can't walk in the water. It brings you back. I'm trying to glitch myself back onto the other side of the island. Find out that you could fast travel. Saved my game. Because I was literally about to shut my game off and then restart.
Good.
That happened more often than I would have liked it to. Where had they not put fast travel into this game, I would have had to restart once or twice. And on top of that, my game crashed 4 times while I was playing it. Just went to black, said, "Oh shit, system error," and found out that you could recover your data. Whatever your most I turned off autosave because it keeps you from like failing shinies to like you gotta get autosave off so it doesn't accidentally autosave after you lose to after you kill the shiny. They still keep your autosave data and you can access it, but not if you didn't know you could do that. Like it's a very unintuitive way to get that save file back, and I would have lost my game 4 times. I only lost it the one time before I figured it out. But I literally lost a day of playing Pokemon because I didn't save and it crashed. The last thing what you talked about was the cast of Pokemon in this game was awful. It was bad. It was hard to find a team of 5 that didn't require me to double up on typing multiple times. And they're just not that good. And I don't understand why. And the fact that the prehistoric Pokemon are all locked to the post game is dumb.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the theme of it, shouldn't it be throughout?
Yeah, there was one boss Pokemon that was a prehistoric Pokemon, but you can't catch it. So, like, it was and it was a really cool one. It was the past evolution of Donphan. So, like, it was awesome.
Yeah, I'm seeing that here. But why are they not just Future X? I see Iron Treads,
it's stupid.
Iron Hands.
I don't know. These are literally the names that you give them as, like, project names, and they just kept them.
Project Roaring Moon.
Yeah.
All right.
But I'm very disappointed in the Pokemon. I'm very disappointed in the way the game performs. I do think they're going to patch it.
I hope this game sinks Pokemon for the next 10 years. Clearly, it's not.
It didn't. Because despite all of that stuff, and I'm talking physically while I'm playing the game, I'm like, this is awful.
It's bad.
Still the best Pokemon game I've ever played. Absolutely awesome Pokemon game. Also, just one note, Nintendo. The making the battles happen exactly where you are in the world is stupid. If you can't do it right and process the fact that I'm on a hill, don't do it.
Did you see the thing where if you plug in a second Joy-Con, you run twice as fast?
Yes. That and then and then I was literally
why? But how? But why?
I was battling in the water, and my little fucking fire crocodile just sinks and flows down the river while still battling.
Good.
And he's gone forever. And he's no longer in frame. And I'm hitting Ember, and it's just the enemy's getting hit, but Fuecoco is nowhere to be seen.
Well, at least you get Hydreigon in this game, who I would argue is a top 5 Pokemon ever.
Yeah, his typing sucks, though.
Nah, it's cool as hell.
Time for it to
Yeah, I mean, boys, girls, frogs, squirrels, if you made it this far into the episode, we're not even on to the main topic.
Yeah, my fault. I went on a Pokemon rant, but I needed to. It was so good.
You needed to let it out. You needed to let out the toxins.
Yeah, now tell me your issues with God of War and why it's just a bad game.
Not as good as Pokemon Scarlet.
Yeah.
Yeah, just as a quick amendment here to the last 2 weeks of God of War talk. It's an 85-90. The more I play the game, the more I'm like, there's a lot here that is just extraneous and just I wish you had tightened this up a little bit more. It's good. It's beautiful. But if I look at the last 3, let's say, or 4 big budget Sony exclusive releases, which would be Horizon Forbidden West, Ratchet and Clank, Ghost of Tsushima, and God of War Ragnarok.
Yep.
I said I was going to go for the platinum, and I'm at the point in my life where I would rather, and this wasn't always the case, the platinum be tailored to what is best about the game. What do I mean by that? Mm-hmm. God of War Ragnarok, the best part is the combat. And all of the combat-related trophies, I am down for. It is so fun. It is so cool. It is so great. All of the Muspelheim trials, fighting all the Berserkers, fighting the Valkyries, cool as hell. Very hard, right? You want to grind. You want to get better. It's a little soulsy in that way, where it's I know, where you're down to the last thing, and you're like, I lost because it was my fault, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Again. Love it. That's the best part of God of War. Double down on that. The worst part of God of War is, hey, how about you go around and you find and you shoot 48 ravens, 36 chests, all of these random poems. I don't care. I don't want to.
Yeah,
in this game. Hold on.
Some people like that.
Some people like that. But if you're going to do that, give it there's this conjecture lately where all Sony first party platinums are too easy. And I think that's good. I think you should have your tentpole games have a little bit lower platinum entry. You know what I mean? Where it's hey, here's the big game. It's on our title. You can get the platinum. And if you like the platinum for this, you're a platinum person for life.
I disagree. I think the mainline games are the ones that should have the most difficult platinums because they're the games that I want you to play.
Maybe so. But I think the more I get into the platinum territory, the more I realize that the platinum should be tailored to the game. And what do I mean by that? Because I don't want to spend too much time on this. As you have a complete fit of coughing.
I muted myself.
I am not anti-collectibles.
Okay.
Ghost of Tsushima does collectibles better than any other game on the planet. Because it not only shows you on the map all the question marks. If God of War was like, Bobby, here's the checklist. Here is where every raven is, every poem, it's a check mark, go. I'd be like, cool, love it, all the best. What Ghost of Tsushima did is it did that, but it also said, you don't have a mini-map. But what you have is you can swipe across your touchpad and the wind will blow. Almost like in Elden Ring that where it would want to take you to the next bonfire, but it wouldn't tell you where the bonfire was.
Yeah, it was just like that way.
Yep, and that's what Ghost of Tsushima did, where you'd swipe and it would take you, and you would go, and you'd get there, and then you'd swipe and it said, "Hey, there's a collectible over here. There's a thing over here." Ghost of Tsushima is the most fun platinum I've ever had platinum in a game. I don't know if I'm going to end up platinuming God of War because it is just so tedious and so many trinkets, poems, ravens. Like, so I would have rather had to play the game again on super duper hard mode.
Yeah.
Because that is what it's a action combat game.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
So for the things that you have to collect, I'm assuming that when you go to collect them, you're not trying to actually find them in the world. You're literally watching a YouTube video and you're like,
yes, correct. What the hell is the fun in that?
The issue is that's the reason it's not fun.
But that's what I'm saying. If God of War had a raven mechanic, like Ghost of Tsushima, where it's like, here's a magic bird that's going to fly in direction.
Yep.
Or here is all of the collectibles on the map as a checklist with a question mark.
Yep.
Go. I'm all in. Cool. Maybe I'm lazy. Maybe I'm weird. I'm sure there's some people who are going to that spoils the game. Then you're just playing Assassin's Creed. Fine. Tailor the platinums to what makes the games work.
Or, maybe just lock that feature behind lock the Raven behind a very difficult boss.
Yes, all in. What I will say, though, as a very last little thing, though, is twice this year games have surprised me with game maps, and it's the coolest feeling, and that's Elden Ring and God of War.
Yep.
Where in Elden Ring, you're like, how much bigger is this map is going to get? And then you go down the elevator, and you're in the underground place where the sky, and you're like, what is this? And then again, you go to the tree with all the fungus and Mulaney. God of War did the same thing where you're like, here's an area that I would say 35% of the story took place in. You're back and forth through it many times. Oh, end game, and the map is going to double in size.
Wild.
Really cool. Will win. I stand by will win game of the year, does not deserve game of the year.
Yeah, I really would be upset if this won the game of the year because I just think that on a regular year, when there's not something like Elden Ring out, I'm okay with a exclusive winning. But if you're not, if you have to tell me that God of War is head and shoulders above Elden Ring for the majority of the player base to not be able to play it, and it still wins Game of the Year. And, I know that might not be a metric, it might not be a metric that it needs to be played by a lot of people, but that does say something. Where Elden Ring was played by everyone and everyone unanimously agrees that Jesus Christ, this is awesome. Sony fans got to appreciate God of War. And some of them are like you and will take a product that's inferior just because it's a Sony product.
It's not Pokemon,
Yeah.
What I will say, though, Horizon Zero Dawn is a better... Forbidden West was a better game than God of War.
Oh, I thought you were about to say Elden Ring and I was about to punch you through this camera. I was about to break my camera.
It's a more apt comparison. It's at least apples to apples with Elden Ring, where it's like open world. One is just a better apple. God of War, and they're two different things.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get on to the meat and potatoes of this episode as we're 54 minutes in.
An hour in. Yeah. Listen, I'm not rushing this one.
Nope.
Because there is so much...
Yeah, we'll cover the other...
so tired. I'm so tired of this. It's Activision, it's Microsoft, and it's Sony, baby. Matt, you do it, bud.
So in this article by Paul Tassi, Forbes.com, the FTC made a move to block Microsoft's monster Activision Blizzard acquisition. Just as Microsoft, and I'm reading directly from the article now, thank you, Paul Tassi. Just as Microsoft has been doing battle in the UK and the EU regulators over its Activision Blizzard acquisition for months, a new final boss may have entered the arena. I love that. According to a new line. Yeah. According to a new report from Politico, the FTC is gearing up to file an antitrust lawsuit with aiming of blocking Microsoft's $69 billion Activision acquisition of Activision Blizzard. King is not getting represented here, but it's very well represented in the CMA because of how important it is to the mobile game industry and how that is also an issue in these lawsuits, and it is criminally underrated, and I'm continuing from the article now. That was my own diatribe. Which would be the largest video game purchase the industry has ever seen. Well, it's not guaranteed that the lawsuit is going to be filed. It's citing all of the concerns that Sony has made to the EU and the UK. And I'm absolutely over it because it's just petty bickering. They're saying opposite things and calling the other one a liar. Where it's probably the middle. Where is Call of Duty a very important game to the gaming industry? Yes. Is it going to ruin Sony? No. Is it completely negligible? Also, no. Jump off.
So here's the thing, and there's a second article, and this is kind of Sony's response. This is from Christopher Dring on GamesIndustry.biz. These articles all kind of dropped around the same time, so we just kind of picked in pieces. But actually what I'll do is I'll read from both CMAs, because that, I think, has the most succinct thing. So reading here from Christopher Dring's article, many of the arguments represented in the Competition and Markets Authority are the same as before, with PlayStation discussing the impact of what might happen if Call of Duty becomes an Xbox exclusive. Whether that's the Xbox console, the Game Pass subscription, or Xbox streaming service. Meanwhile, on its own 111-page response, Microsoft argues that these concerns are overstated, that Call of Duty is neither special or unique. Notably, Sony disagrees with Microsoft's previous claims that even if all PlayStation monthly active users who play Call of Duty left PlayStation would still have significantly more monthly active users than Xbox. Then Sony says, this does not accord with our data. In 2021, there were an average, and this is interesting, and this is coming directly from the CMA.
Okay.
This is Sony speaking. This does not accord with our data. In 2021, there were an average redacted million monthly active users and redacted million accounts that played Call of Duty during this year. That right there shows me that, yes, this would cripple Sony. This would cripple, because if the number is so negligibly small, right? It's one or the other. It's either so negligibly small that you're redacting it, right? But if you know this is getting leaked to the public, redacted million monthly active users of Call and redacted million accounts that played Call of Duty during that year.
I disagree. Because then something is, just because it's redacted doesn't mean it's just business. It's not redacted because of the gravitas of the statement. It's because you cannot release that information without shareholders. You have to release that information very privately, or the SEC is going to come after your ass. You can't do you can't say things like that if they're not in an earnings report. That's why it's redacted.
But the last sentence is what's most important here. This is Sony speaking from their CMA. Based on these figures, if the redacted million monthly active users switched to Xbox, PlayStation would be left with far fewer monthly active users than Xbox. So PlayStation's coming out and saying it. And reading further down, the loss of all or significant portion of these users, together with their associated revenues and profit, would severely diminish SIE's ability to severely diminish SIE's ability and incentivize to invest in future hardware innovation and gaming technologies. However, this is my favorite thing. Am I getting a call in this economy?
Is it me?
No.
Sorry,
no,
I'll hang up.
No, it's okay. Hold on.
You're just going to let it play out?
No, I just silenced the call. Excuse me. However, Microsoft insists Call of Duty is neither special or unique. Reading from Microsoft CMA now. Call of Duty does not drive spend on PlayStation and accounts for only redacted % of PlayStation's digital revenue worldwide. In 2012, Call of Duty gamers spent essentially the same time on Xbox as FIFA, Fortnite, Grand Theft Auto, Minecraft, NBA 2K, Rocket League. Importantly, also spent around the same portion of time playing other franchises. This is inconsistent with Call of Duty having a greater ability to drive consumption of non-Call of Duty content.
See, but why is that piece of information redacted if it's not critical to the argument? Like, if we're saying your whole argument of why the other one was redacted is because it was such a large number that they couldn't release it and that it would cripple Sony. No,
I'm sorry. Either or. It's either so small that it negates that argument or so big that it's embarrassing.
No, but it's neither of those things. It's that they cannot release this information. Like, it's just like the SEC will not allow them to release this information, and that's why it's redacted. Because you can't just release this it's unnecessary for this to go to the public. And part of them doing this document was that this information would be redacted because they have a responsibility to shareholders and stakeholders. Not because it's either too small or too large, because every number in this document is redacted. Literally all of them. For every piece of this. And
okay.
to say that in your first comment that Sony was going to be like, yes, if all of Call of Duty players would switch to Xbox, we would have far fewer Call of Duty players. Obviously, you would have far fewer.
So here's the thing. I'll link them below, the Sony CMA and the Microsoft CMA. They're a lot.
It's a lot of information.
Hysterical things. Is Microsoft going, oh, well, Nintendo's a competitor. They've got Bayonetta.
Excuse me. I read that and was like, you can't do this. You can't tell me that Nintendo is competing with anyone but Nintendo.
Yeah.
However, Sony said something just as ridiculous where they were like, Xbox wants us to become Nintendo. They don't. Stop it. Yeah. You're still going to be a competitor if you lose Call of Duty, and you're not going to lose Call of Duty.
Yes. Okay, so that was the next point I wanted to make. Xbox needs PlayStation to continue to fund Call of Duty. Xbox needs people on PlayStation to pay full price in order for them to put it on Game Pass.
Yes. And if
it's just that simple.
If it's a $300 million product, and it does say in the article that 10 to 20% of Call of Duty users are on Xbox. If you take... And the Sony one is... I forget what the Sony one is, but it's much higher.
Mm-hmm.
If you take those numbers and now stop them from being able to play it before you give them an opportunity to buy an Xbox, you cannot fund a $300 million game. Call of Duty is not going anywhere on any console because it costs too much money to make. You can't risk taking it exclusive, because if you can't pull, especially from where Xbox is right now and how little of the market they hold console-wise, specifically in the EU, but if you take a game exclusive that costs $300 million and you're no longer bringing in the revenue for 80% of that game's sales, that game is going to fail.
Yep.
And they would never do it. Because what is the point of Call of Duty if it's not to have it everywhere? A game like Call of Duty does not lend itself well to a console exclusive. It doesn't make sense. You need people playing your game for it to be fun for other people. People don't play for the campaign anymore. It's fine, it's great, whatever. They play it once, they'll never play it again. They play for the multiplayer. And when is multiplayer the best? When you have a ton of people playing the multiplayer. How do you do that? You don't make it a console exclusive.
But here's the last thing I want to discuss. There's so much here that we could be talking about this forever, but a lot of it is sort of retrotted territory with they said, we said. This is the first time I've ever seen Sony come out and genuinely show, like, points the finger and goes, well, you guys talk about both sides of your mouth. And if this was their argument, I think they'd have a little bit more good faith behind them publicly. Aside from just, oh, well, PlayStation's better, Xbox. Relax, Jacob. Number 17 in the Sony CMA.
Stop tweeting from your Android.
The Sony CMA, number 17. More generally, Microsoft's past conduct shows that its public utterances should be treated with extreme skepticism. The decision identifies 5 separate transactions: ZeniMax, Obsidian, In Exile, Ninja Theory, and Compulsion, where Microsoft acquired game studios, then made their upcoming Xbox exclusive to Xbox. This conduct occurred despite Microsoft's assurances to the public and regulators that it would not make ZeniMax content exclusive. Microsoft CEO of gaming Phil Spencer publicly explained the rationale for Microsoft's bait and switch, and as it follows. This is about delivering great exclusive games for Xbox customer that ships on platforms where Game Pass exists. That's why we're doing this, and that's the root of this partnership that we're building. Listen, Phil Spencer is duplicitous. He is a liar. He does bait and switch. So if Sony had any leg to stand on that wasn't grasping at straws, the leg to stand on here is you guys have lied before. Yep. Many, many times. We do not trust you.
I think the only thing that keeps me from saying that it's 100% going to be a bait and switch, which I think even if they take 100% ownership of Call of Duty and they put it exclusively on their content and they put it on Game Pass, it still should go through. It will not keep Sony from functioning. I don't believe that. It'll be a blow. It won't be good, but it will not stop them. The only reason this is different than the ZeniMax purchase, and I don't think he's going to completely bait and switch on this, is because it needs to be multiplayer. And multiplayer games do better when you have more people playing. And they're never going to get 100% adoption of the market. And even with Game Pass, you could put Game Pass on a TV, you can put it on a computer. You can't put it on a PlayStation. And you can't put it on a Switch.
See, because that's where this gets dicey.
They won't.
I see it going to Switch before I see it going to PlayStation, but I don't think it's an absolute zero that Game Pass never exists on PlayStation.
I think it is.
I see a world on a dollars and cents, zero motion deal where Sony goes to Microsoft and says, all right, put Game Pass here. But no Halo, no Gears, nothing that is not third party, and we get a rip of all traffic that comes through. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? See? And that face shows me that you're like, oh.
No. Because the value of Game Pass is not the third party things. It's the day releases. Like, that
Correct.
is the value of Game Pass. If Game Pass didn't give me Halo for free, I would not have Game Pass. If Game Pass is not going to give me Elder Scrolls 6 for free, I won't have Game Pass. There's no reason to buy. Like, I'm not buying, like, Pentiment. I can't play Pentiment on PlayStation. What do I even have Game Pass for?
Why even subscribe?
There's no value to Game Pass with just third party, because if they're just third party, you can get them on Sony's. Like, you can buy it on your PlayStation.
Fair enough. Here is how I want to bring this in for a landing. And I texted this to you in jest, but genuinely at this point, I hope the FTC blocks this. I hope Activision either has to sink or swim on its own merits, and I hope we never discuss this again. I am so tired of this.
Yeah, but I would say the opposite. I want it to just go through, and then we never have to talk this again, because if Activision sinks, what happens to all of the IP?
You get sold for parts.
But then we're just going to have the same conversation when Microsoft's like, here's $20K or $20 billion for Call of Duty.
Here's $20 for Call of Duty.
Like, it just needs to go through.
Bring me the sweet release.
Because Sony can't buy Call of Duty. You can't do this whole thing and then Sony buy it when Activision goes under and you need to sell it for parts. So who buys it? It's either Microsoft anyway or Tencent.
Oh, here we go. Look, if you like what you hear, want to hear more of it, give us a good review on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you consume this podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. Leave us a like. Comment down below why Phil Spencer is a dirty, stinky, poopy head liar in those exact POQ sentences. Scan the QR code on screen to join all the diabolical Playconomists in the Discord. Matt, I love you.
And remember, as always, happy gaming.